Time to start hoarding toilet paper again because I believe we are on the brink of an unprecedented LEGO Star Wars Mechademic. Hello all, I'm Josh, this is Josh Build Stuff, and if you thought there were too many LEGO Marvel Mechs out there, well, strap in and grab your snorkel because I believe the LEGO Star Wars Mech floodgates have just burst wide open, and the first couple of droplets that have flowed through have come in the form of three familiar characters. Today we're talking about the all-new LEGO Star Wars Darth Vader, Stormtrooper, and Boba Fett Mechs. Each of these are due to release in August 2023. Each of them are between 140 and 150 pieces. All of them cost $16 here in the US, and they're all rated for ages 6+. In each of these new simple sets, we get one minifigure and one corresponding mech. Each of them are decently posable. Each of them look decent, but my favorite part about each of them is that they're different. Not different from each other, per se, different from what we usually see in LEGO Star Wars. Usually we get a ship that we are familiar with, or an environment as a playset that we are familiar with, or a larger statuette kind of buildable figure that we are, again, very familiar with. But all of a sudden, LEGO's given us something that I've been asking for a long time, and that's something different. By something different, maybe I just mean something non-canonical, something that never has and never will appear in any Star Wars production, though don't get me wrong, I will be scrutinizing the background of every scene of Ahsoka, looking out for some live-action Stormtrooper mechs, but I'm not getting my hopes up. And so because these mechs don't actually exist in universe, it's going to be a little difficult to criticize their accuracy, though we're going to give it a try today. Let's talk about these mechs in general, and then we'll talk specifics. In general, thinking about the builds for these guys, I was a little bummed to see the dumbed down limbs on these fellas. That is to say that the elbows and knees do not bend, whereas they could in some older Marvel mechs. The simplicity of these builds is reminiscent of what you would see on those mechs that were made for the 4+ crowd, otherwise known as Ryan's audience. But I did look at the box and I realized that these are only made for the ages of 6+. That age rating also reminded me that I now have a 6-year-old. Happy birthday to my oldest, and so I thought I'd put that age rating to the test. I asked him, hey bud, you think you could build this? And he said, I know I could, but I don't really want to right now. And then he put his headphones back on and went back to watching his iPad, but knowing he couldn't hear me, I whispered into his subconscious. I said, like the things that I like. Because, you know, I'm a good dad and I want to be relatable as he grows up. Anyway, some positives about these guys in general. They're cheap. Asterisk, relatively speaking, in terms of LEGO Star Wars and in the current economy, they're cheap. We don't get a lot of $16 sets. The builds were quick and simple. Kids will enjoy playing with these. I can speak from experience as someone who used to be and now has my own children. And these builds are extremely resilient. Being as clumsy as I am, I have done unintentional drop tests of these guys constantly. I'll do one right now. Look, he'll be fine. Perfectly fine. Look at that. See, I told you, these things hold up better than you would expect. I'll do another drop test for you. Look, perfectly fine. Okay, you caught me. Whereas some people would buy one of each of these sets, I would also buy one of each of these sets, and then I would buy a few more of some of these sets, that set being the Stormtrooper set. I like Stormtroopers. I'm a bit biased. But if anyone tells you not to buy
more than one of this
set, or that
this is not an army builder,
those people are welcome to their opinions. My opinion is that I might buy many Stormtrooper mechs, and I might buy many more Stormtrooper mechs than I have already. I think if you've got a big army of Stormtroopers and you got like a couple of tanks over here and a couple of ride-on vehicles over here, why not throw in some mechs along the back line of a battalion? It'd be fun, and shouldn't we be doing things that are fun? It's LEGO, it's a toy, it's a preschool toy, according to Kohl's when you check out, but it's meant to be fun. Let's talk about these mechs individually, starting with these Stormtroopers. Like I said before, I'm a bit biased towards Stormtroopers. Can you guess why? If you've been around the channel for a while, you're a real OG. And speaking of real OGs, you might recognize this guy as Tupac. Say hi, Tupac.
Hi, Tupac.
Tupac, short for TK42 Pac, whose real name is actually Mannequin Skywalker, but he prefers his imperial designation. Him and I have been roommates for, I don't know, half my life, about 15 years at this point. And ever since meeting and living with him, we've come to like Stormtroopers a lot, and I've got a bunch of them around my office all the time. Therefore, I'm okay being the LEGO Stormtrooper guy, and I've got to get more than one of these Stormtrooper mechs. Let's talk about the Stormtrooper minifigure first. This is the same torso and leg piece that came in the trash compactor set, but I never got that set because it is literally and figuratively trash, unlike this current set. Also, the Stormtrooper inside this mech is actually a female. We will call her Shakira because her hips don't lie, and I'm starting to feel it's right because finally we have another Stormtrooper with a white hip piece. Don't you see, baby? This is perfection. That is a roundabout way of, one, quoting Shakira, and two, saying that I prefer this look with the white hip piece. It's more accurate to a real suit, which I would show you, but I don't want to go down there right now. As for this mech, it's a hit. Pun intended. The thing is so simple that there's not a lot here to criticize, right? What am I gonna say, that the sloped grill piece on his leg should be the other way around? No, these aren't real characters, and so LEGO can make them however they want. Again, I'm sure it's intentional, but there's no part of the mech's armor, the mech itself, that is reminiscent of an actual Stormtrooper, like the shoulders and wrists and cod piece, like they aren't on this thing. It just looks like a bunch of robotic parts slapped to the outside of the main mech structure. But again, since these are non-canonical, you really could have slapped any parts to this dude, and as long as they were white and fit the part, they would get the job done, which is exactly why I got my last job. And speaking of accuracy, I assume that the blaster and stud shooter that comes with this mech is supposed to kind of look like a Stormtrooper blaster, but in my opinion, that thing looks nothing like a standard Imperial issue Blastech E11 blaster rifle that a Stormtrooper usually carries, but that's just my opinion. So if you're thinking about getting one of these mechs, you can't miss if you go with the Stormtrooper. Pun intended. Though I do wish that sloped grill piece on his leg was flipped the other way around. We'll go more quickly over these other two mechs. Next up is Boba Fett. A lot would say this is the best looking of the three mechs. I would say this is the second best looking of the three mechs. His armor is at least more reminiscent of Boba Fett's color and armor. He looks cool and strong with those big shoulder pieces. The minifigure here has quality printing all around. It has everything we could ask for in a deluxe looking Boba Fett figure, unless we were being completely unreasonable and expecting LEGO to include one small extra piece of cloth. But in this case, LEGO channeled their inner Edna mode and said no capes. Unless you're Darth Vader, of course. He gets a cape. Again, I know I'm being biased here, but Boba isn't really my favorite. It's just not my cup of tea. The mech still looks great, but I don't know, you can still enjoy this even if you don't have a Fett fetish. Like the others, this mech does suffer from a SAR lack of mobility because those elbows and knees don't bend. You can't necessarily pose them as much as you might like to. Again, this blaster looks nothing like an EE3 carbine rifle, which Boba Fett is known to use, but I do like the extra accessories that come on this guy. The little, like, I don't know, wrist rockets or what you would call them, flamethrowers, a little jetpack on the back with a flick missile. I think those are nice touches. So he may not be my favorite, and some would say it's not worth the $16, but he's worth a lot to me. And last but not least, we have my least favorite of these three mechs. It's Darth Vader. A lot of you might feel differently, but today I'm just being subjective. And that's all I'm being today. As for the minifigure, he's got all the printing again. He's got a two-piece helmet, a head so pale he clearly hasn't seen the twin suns in many rotations. So basically this is the purest form of Darth Vader minifigure I can think of right now, and this is a great way to get him. And yes, he does come with a cape, but I think a cape is more necessary for this figure. Vader without a cape is subpar at best, and a double bogey at worst. The color scheme on this mech is a bit on the dark side, as you can see, but I think that's appropriate for this guy. I do think it's a little cruel to stick Darth Vader, who already has 3 out of 4 mechanical limbs, inside of a mech with 4 out of 4 mechanical. Now he's got 7 out of 8 mechanical limbs. Was that really necessary? And they stuck a breathing apparatus on the front of this mech again, which doesn't make, none of it matters because this isn't a canonical character. He does have a sweet new lightsaber piece, which I actually like the way it's depicted here, which begs the question, can you just make a bigger lightsaber if you get a bigger housing and bigger kyber crystals? Well, I guess the Death Star was just a whole bunch of kyber crystals bunched up together. Again, non-canonical, it doesn't matter. Only downside to this mech, he does have a lot of small pieces that could fall off, so I would categorize Darth Vader in particular as a bit of a choking hazard. And so with the introduction of these mechs, it makes me think of a few broader questions, like with LEGO's inability to sell individual LEGO Star Wars minifigures, is this LEGO's answer to our outcry for a Star Wars CMF series? Probably not. Is LEGO Star Wars going to go the way of LEGO Marvel and literally cash in on the popularity of mechs by making a whole bunch more just like this? I don't know. Is this the start of a LEGO Star Wars era free from canonical accuracy, where LEGO will continue to produce fun and different products free from criticism because these don't exist in universe? I doubt it. The only thing clear here is that no one knows what the future holds for LEGO Star Wars because LEGO is never going to tell us everything, and that's okay. No one tells everyone everything. You think I tell everyone that comes to my house how often my dogs lick the dishes that are in my dishwasher? Of course not. So LEGO is a little bit off the hook, I guess. And with that thought lingering in your head, thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Like and subscribe and all that. I'll see you next time.